Sanchini here, and in this video I am going to talk about the biggest reason why people fail to control their minds, okay, and why we end up having our minds run us versus we running our minds, okay. And this is one of the single best element that I found in most successful people who have success as a default and whose default as success is effortless for them, okay, because they have learned this one power to master their mind. Okay, so stick around till the end of the video because I'm going to give you 3 powerful concepts on neuroscience, quantum physics and yoga psychology, which has personally shifted my life in a big way. So today we're going to understand why most people fail to master their mind and have their minds run us rather than we running the mind, okay? So as I discussed, I think in the earlier videos, I leave the description in the link below, the link in the description below, that the 2% of people who are able to consciously use their mind, and there are 98% people who are subject to the mind, okay? So we want to get to the 2% level who master the art of controlling the mind, and it becomes a default state, okay? So if you see successful people, they don't even know that they're doing that. It's become their second nature. They do it effortlessly, okay? So we can reach that level through practice, okay? So there are 4 levels of competence, okay? So the first level is the unconscious incompetence, where we don't know what we don't know, okay? So we are unaware. Okay, so that in yoga psychology is also called Shipta, or the monkey mind, or the dull mind, where we keep jumping from branch to branch, and we follow something and then we draw back because or find something else, the shiny object syndrome. Okay, the second level is the conscious competence. Then we are aware that we are not competent, or we are not able to use our mind as much as wisely as we use it, right? So at that point it's like awareness and acceptance, right? So that is called the Vikshipta in yoga psychology, or a butterfly mind, where you are slightly able to become aware of certain things, but sometimes you again droop back to the original state, okay? The third is the conscious competence. Now you've become competent in handling your mind, controlling your mind, and driving your mind where you want the mind to drive. So that is also called, now you started focusing. You're driving your mind where you want to focus, and therefore you've started to become certain, your competence level on controlling your mind has become a little higher, right? Then we come to unconscious competence, where most successful people, they do it effortlessly, right? They are in the success zone effortlessly. They don't have to try to control their mind, but it becomes like a default state. Okay, so that is like that. They're very steady. That in yoga psychology is called niruddha. Okay, now the biggest reason, okay, why we fail to control our mind is the biggest reason I found it to be, and by understanding from various books, is that we get identified with the thought, okay, impulses, or with the feelings or the senses. Okay, so if you were to give an example, okay, of if you are reading a book, let's say for example, okay, and there is on one side of your room there is a TV which is on, the audio is not on, but the visuals are on, okay, so from one corner of your mind, of your eyes, you can see the movement of the television, okay. So now you're trying to read the book, okay. Your mind will be more attracted to the movement of the fluctuations of the lights, the sensory lights, than to the stillness. The book is still, okay? So we are more attracted to the movement and the light, the sensory elements in our outer environment versus our own stillness, okay? So that is what means by being identified. We are more attracted to the impulses in our thoughts, okay? And the motion of our feelings. Okay, we are more driven by our own thoughts and more driven by our own feelings. Okay, so that is the number one thing. Okay, now here's what happens. Okay, our brain is a record of everything that has happened up till this point. Okay, we have about 100 billion neurons. Neurons are brain cells, right? And every neurons or neurological network has memories attached to it. Okay, so that becomes difficult for us to kind of like control, because sometimes if the brain is record of everything that has happened up to this point, that means not every time will you get good thoughts. You will also get bad thoughts. So when you get good thoughts, you'll also get bad thoughts. So sometimes when we have good thoughts, we attach to it. So we want to embrace it and we want to hold on to it. We're too clingy to it. So we want, good moments when you go on a vacation, we don't want it to end, right? Versus when there are bad situations or some bad feelings come up, okay, we want to withdraw from it. We want to avoid it, okay? So trying to, attach and detach, that becomes a pendulum, okay? So imagine this, okay? So let's take this example here. So the pendulum, okay? Let's take this example here, okay? So let's say you're trying to, now this is here, okay? Every event is neutral, okay? But how we human beings see is that when some good thoughts are there, we want to pull that good thought towards us. So what happens? It immediately goes back, okay? But when we try to push those bad thoughts, it comes more, okay? So what does that mean is basically that when we get too identified with a certain feeling, okay, or a certain impulse, we tend to drive that more towards us, okay? And therefore, we are fluctuating between good thoughts, bad thoughts. One day we feel good, bad, feel ugly, we feel beautiful, sometimes we feel fat, sometimes we feel thin, okay? So depending on our nature of our thoughts and feelings, the contents of our thought and the motion of a feeling, we are being driven, okay? Sometimes you feel very motivated to do something, sometimes you feel very lazy to go to the gym, for example, right? Sometimes we feel that we are confident, sometimes we are not confident, okay? So this fluctuation that happens, okay? Now, so that's the idea of the fluctuation. That's exactly what's happening here is between this conscious incompetence and unconscious incompetence. Most people are oscillating between these two levels, right? Now, so we understood the reason why we fail to control our minds, right? So we understood that we are driven by both areas when we attach to it, when we identify to it, okay? To the thoughts and feelings, when we identify, that's a problem. That's why we're not able to control the mind, right? So now, according to neuroscience also, okay? So according to neuroscience, so when we look at it, this is conceptually. Now let's look at it scientifically. When I look at it, okay, neuroplasticity states that the mind works with multiplication and division. Okay, what does that mean? So whenever you are focusing on, let's say for example, you are, you want to attract, you want to feel love and you want to attract a partner. Okay, but now the nature of it is that where is your focal point? Okay, where is the focal point of your your primary, main theme of your focal point, right? Theme, your thoughts and feelings, the state of being. Where is your focal point of a state of being? Is it in avoiding feeling lonely or is it in feeling love? Okay, whichever the element or the nature or the intensity of whichever is higher, the mind moves towards that. Okay, so the mind will move, so that's called target fixation. And the same thing happens in neuroplasticity. The moment you start building the firing and wiring the neurons for not feeling lonely, it will multiply more, versus the neurons for trying to feel love, okay, will, if you don't focus on that, that dies down. So whichever focal point you have, you multiply that neuron. So 1, 2, 4, 6, okay, so you want to feel love, it will increase. But if you are avoiding something, if you're trying to avoid not feeling lonely, that will also increase. And what you don't focus on, what you don't wire and fire together, that begins to die down. Okay, so same thing happens with most of us want to avoid failure versus trying to win or trying to be successful. Okay, most of us avoid being poor rather than focusing on wanting to become rich, right? And most of us focus on not being confident rather than being confident. And again, this is another thing that I want to point out. Okay, so now there's a loophole in this also. Okay, so now what happens is that when you trying to be confident and because you don't want to feel inconfident, okay, now this is a pendulum again. Okay, like I said, whatever you try to pull more, the intensity of it will attract that more. Okay, now the days that are going good, you'll feel confident. The days are not very good, the content of your thoughts and feelings are not good, you'll not feel confident. Okay, so this model will not work very well. Okay, this model will not work very well. Okay, there's a better level, because as Einstein said, okay, you can't solve a problem, okay, with the same level of mind that you had when you created it. You need to raise your level of the mind, right? So now, how do we raise the level of our mind? Okay, so that is what we need to understand. Okay, so the key here is, so let me just check if I have covered everything here. Okay, so yeah, the target fixation is wherever your focal point is, you will move towards that. The mind is more attracted to things where your focal point is. Okay, so that's why wherever your focus goes, attention flows. Wherever your attention flows, energy flows. Wherever energy flows, that multiplies. Neuroscience, right? So focus on becoming successful rather than trying to avoid failure. That's what neuroscience or neuroplasticity is basically. Okay, and neuroplasticity, if you have 100 billion neurons, you can direct and modify your brain cells according to your direction of how you want your thoughts and nature of your thoughts and feelings to be. Okay, so if you focus on the element of becoming successful, how can I become successful, and how to multiply those neurons, so you focus on that rather than avoiding to become avoiding failure. Okay, so that is the biggest drawback that we the reason why we fail. Now the second thing is that it's counterintuitive. Okay, though the nature of the video is that how to control the mind. Okay, but like I said, okay, it's like a pendulum, so it'll fluctuate. Okay, the mind is if we function at the same level of the mind, it'll be like a pendulum. Some days it'll be good, some days when the content of the thought comes good, then we feel good. Sometimes it comes bad, then we'll feel bad. Okay, so it keeps oscillating. Okay, so we don't want to become pendulum. So that's how the mind will capture us, or tries to run us run us rather than we running it. So the breakthrough for this is basically, the biggest thing that I found personally was to not control your mind. Okay, so it's counterintuitive. It's like how to control your mind, but you don't control the mind. Okay, you have to raise the level of your mind. Basically, there are 3 levels of your existence, right? So basically, according to, now we discuss neuroscience, now let's discuss spirituality or yoga psychology a little bit. Okay, in yoga psychology there are 3 levels. One is the level of your body, where it's your basic survival instinct, right? So you feel the senses, you feel certain emotions, you have the 5 senses, and you feel your surroundings through those basic survival instincts. You feel certain things, you crave certain things, so your feelings are running you. Okay, now you have, then the second level is the mind. Okay, where you can assess risks, rewards, dangers, good zones, bad zones. So you are in that second level of the mind that we just now discussed, right? Where you feel good sometimes, bad sometimes. So the content of the mind defines how we think and how we feel and how we operate, right? But we want to get to raise a level. Okay, like we don't want to function at the same level that we are in the mind, but we want to raise the level, which is awareness. Okay, now awareness is the human being's ability, or which is also called metacognition, where you can observe your own contents of your own thoughts and the motion of your own feelings. That is called metacognition, of being aware. Okay, so we all have that power. It's just that we are just not very still enough, or not very slow enough to be aware. Okay, because in a fast pace we are trying to do multiple things and trying to chase, because everything is external for us. Nothing in our internal world is still. Okay, but the moment we can be still, there is far more clarity, far more power, and far more resilience and strength. Okay, then we can have in just trying to control this 5% mind, because the subconscious mind is 98%, 95% of the mind. Where when you start stepping back and start tapping into this field of your the awareness, okay, and quantum physics clearly states, okay, that every level of even the matter drills down to energy. When the atom was split, the subatomic particles, when the quantum physicists studied that, they found that even subatomic particle have nucleus and protons and neutrons, right? So, and when you drill down, even the matter comes down to the lowest form is energy, right? So everything is energy. So when we can see our contents of our own thought and contents of our own feelings, that means we are no longer the mind nor the body. Okay, so we have to disidentify. So the problem was we identified with our thoughts and feelings. The solution is to disidentify from our thoughts and feelings. Okay, because we basically get to the core fundamental state where we can simply be observers. Okay, and this comes with a practice. Like I keep on mentioning, 15 minutes of silence every morning in the morning, okay, where you are just being an observer. When you practice this muscle over and over and over again, then you start to disidentify from your thoughts and feelings, and the thoughts and feelings don't drive you. Then you can choose, okay, what thoughts and feelings that you want to choose, or what thoughts and feelings that you want to fire and wire and build the plasticity for. Okay, do you want to build the plasticity for failure, or do you want to build the plasticity for success? So you choose that, right? Right now you don't have the option to choose, because the content of the mind is all mixed right now. Everything is mixed over there. So sometimes it's like a lucky draw, like circumstances. Your life is running you. Okay, you don't have. That's what it means by creating your own realities. Basically, you choose what thoughts and feelings that you want to pick and how you want to feel, and then run your life, rather than life, you don't know. Today you're feeling great, you don't know how you're going to feel tomorrow, or today you're feeling confident, tomorrow you don't know if you will feel confident or not, right? So we don't want to do that. And if you really see, the people who are really confident are neither confident, neither not confident. They are who they are. Okay, so they are they are at the core, fundamental, they are who they are. Basically they align with their core being. Okay, so that's exactly what I mean when I say that spirituality and science, when we combine together, it becomes very powerful. Okay, spirituality and science does not take us away from life, but we come closer to life so that we understand the underpinning or the basic fundamentals of creation and manifestation, and we become more powerful in manifesting. Then if we were to just keep hustling and chasing, trying to do 10,000 things, and seeing what others are doing and comparing yourself and feeling low someday, and someday you're feeling good because you are in a better state today. So this pendulum just sucks our energy. Okay, so we don't want to become a pendulum. We don't want this graph. We want this graph. Okay, so that is the reason why we need to cultivate our awareness. And yogic texts, okay, are very powerful if you really draw your attention to it. Okay, and these are spiritual heritage from India. Okay, and people all across the globe are using this, including if you read the documentary for Steve Jobs as well. He came to India and he met Neem Karoli Baba, right, in Himachal, somewhere, right, and he learned a great deal from that Baba. And he practiced those kind of mastering, controlling and getting insights. So all these successful people know, and even I think after that, even what is his name? Okay, anyways, okay, anyways, forget that. Okay, I don't remember the name right now. Okay, so I'll pull that out later on. So anyway, so my idea is that these are our spiritual heritage. This is nothing to do with any religion or any faith, or not faith, but any religion for that matter. It's not religious. It's not to feel like to become a saint or a nun, but it's to really if you grasp this information, it'll really help you break through, and you'll start seeing things from different angles. You'll start seeing from different lenses. Okay, so here is one element that I want to show you. Okay, now when I personally started to when I was in a state where I used to be fluctuating. One day I used to feel confident, the next day I used to feel not confident, one day I used to feel good, another day I used to feel bad. When I saw this one day, and most of the times I was feeling anxiety of what is going to happen next, and or worrying about the past, or feeling anxious about the future. So we live in that constant zone of that, right? But when I started to read this more and more carefully, I started to become more and more relaxed, more and more calm, more and more still. I could now start elevating my focus, elevating my memory, elevating my productivity, and I could do more in less time, and start reading more voraciously, because reading is a practice of your stillness of your mind. You're trying to focus on one element, and that's a great practice of trying to control your mind. So if you're not reading currently, start practicing reading. Okay, it's a great practice. 3 levels. That is the body level, where we feel sensory information that we take from outside and then feed ourselves to feel good or feel bad. Okay, but we don't want to get that, right? The mind, okay, according to the content of the mind, whatever thoughts or whatever feelings are arising, we go with the content of that. We don't want to go that. We want to go beyond that. Okay, so Einstein said you can't solve the problem with the same level of mind that you had when you created it. So you need to level up your mind. So how do you level up the mind? By developing awareness or metacognition, which is basically observing your thoughts and feelings without any attachment to it, without resisting it, without cringing. Okay, whatever is coming up, because right now whatever thoughts and feelings are coming up are your karmas of your past. Okay, we have to be very radically honest. Okay, we have to accept what is at this point. We can't change what is. We can't change our current feelings. We have to accept what is coming up. Whatever outside is coming up, just zone out. Okay, let it just pass. But you can consciously create your future. You can consciously create your next moment. Okay, that's what we fail to do. We want to change right now, which we can't. We can't change the bad feeling that we're having right now, but we can create a good feeling for tomorrow and continue to multiply that. Compound, power of compounding. Okay, so that is very, very powerful. Okay, so I think so that I think covers it all. Okay, so with that I'll conclude the video. Okay, I sincerely hope this was helpful for you. Do leave your comments and your anything that you have in the description, so that it gives me more things to take back and get back to you more. Okay, and if you're new to the channel, do not forget to hit like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon, so that whenever I put out a new video, you'll be notified of it. Okay, and thank you for watching. Until next time.